African electoral bodies will continue to share experiences in delivering free, fair, credible and peaceful elections. They are currently meeting under the auspices of the African Association of Electoral Bodies in Johannesburg. Now, a number of the African countries such as South Africa, Ghana, Mozambique, Namibia and others will go to the polls this year. Khayelihle Khumalo joins us now to chat about the gathering. Khayelihle, thank you so much for your time this morning. Of course, we saw that press briefing yesterday and heard from various stakeholders about the importance of, the use of social media during this time. I speak under correction, but I think around about 15 countries in the African continent will be going to the polls this year. So it does become crucial. Just talk to us a little bit about what transpired yesterday and what are we likely to see today?
Well, that's right, Unati. So a very substantial number of African countries will go to the polls this year. So this is one of the very critical instruments in making sure that the elections are credible, but also reflecting the true will of the people, especially when you look at the context of the African continent, where you have a sizable number of young people. So the digital world is presenting so many benefits, but also there are some challenges in terms of making sure that the online integrity is observed at all times. But really, to look at day two today, the expectations, the deliverables. Joining us now is Mr. Mozari from the IEC. So once again, sir, day two of this important session, so many electoral management bodies, a very big task ahead. You look at South Africa come the 29th of May and so many other countries as well. Let's look at making sure that they domesticate these guidelines to make sure that we see peaceful and transparent elections.
Certainly, it is the objective of the whole three-day session is that we end up with these countries who are participating, 16 of them who are having elections this year. And there's also a further 10 who are having elections early in 2025. So we've tried to include all of them. And the focus is in various ways in your own country's laws. Can you include aspects of these guidelines? And certainly we're getting a very good positive response. Yesterday we also have the major giants of providing digital platforms and social media platforms also committing to cooperate with the various authorities that manage elections. And in that way, they already have technical support from these platforms that if you bring your domesticated sort of framework together with what they have as their own governance policies on using these platforms, we can do something about disinformation and malinformation.
A very critical point because, we heard from the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, talking about some of the risk and how you can mitigate those potential harms from, the use of social media, the spread of hate speech and also the issue of disinformation and misinformation, especially in these times where the use of social media is highly penetrated. I would imagine that's one of the areas where the electoral bodies will have to focus on in terms of making sure that you reduce any potential harms emanating from those areas.
You are very correct. The focal point is digital harms, and all of us are wanting to say, in all its various ills, does this use add up or end up in a harmful environment situation or harming somebody's life and integrity? And the test is always harm. And some of us create these harmful posts. Some of us plan to do these harmful posts and put them out there. But the most critical one for us, which we will do a lot more civic education on, is when we misinform without knowing that this post is harmful. You retweet, you repost, you support, you like, and it becomes a harmful and a believable statement. It can harm the institutions being us as the commission, being political parties, it can harm persons, political leaders, it can harm voters. The attacks on women candidates are enormous online, and we've got to look at all of these from a basis of saying, are they harmful, and how do we deal with these harmful posts that we see on these kinds of platforms.
And just before I let you go, sir, I was going through the guidelines and the principles. I saw the clear emphasis when it comes to the use of local languages in terms of making sure that you're able to monitor that, to look at the dissemination of information, that it's accurate, that it's reflecting, the objectives and what people really aspire for.
Certainly, in the domestication, you've got to look at local languages because you need to build knowledge and understanding. You need to build appreciation of different cultures that are at play when people communicate. Remember also, these platforms have become a platform of general communication. People don't have sufficient time to be in group settings and interact and have discussions and debates, and they have turned on these platforms to do so. And therefore, it is important that even in vernacular and localized languages, we can pick up those discussions, and those that are harmful are immediately corrected or actually brought down. We may see terrible things being posted, and we've got to deal with them very swiftly, not necessarily as an electoral body, but together with other state actors. In our South African context, we have a number of South African state actors who must play a role, including the criminal justice system.
All right, so thank you so much indeed for your time. So Nazi, that's Mr. Mozari from the IEC, really outlining the importance of these guidelines, but also tapping the digital space in terms of enhancing the quality of the elections. But I suppose this is also part of broadening the scope in terms of making sure that voter education is critical in terms of making sure that these elections really genuinely reflect the true will of the people.